Okay, so just got out of John Proctor as the villain, and this play was absolutely remarkable. I mean, this thing, 100 out of 100, absolutely 5 stars. Wow. I gotta say, like the beginning of the show, it was in a high school setting, and for the first hour or so, it was like a dissection of the Crucible. And I really didn't know what was in store for us in terms of the plot and everything. And I thought it was cute for what it was. And I kept remembering the Spelling Bee show. And I was like, oh, okay, and they were starting this liberal arts club, or not a liberal arts club, but it was a feminist club. And it was a little bit waning on me a little bit, but I had no idea where this show was going to go. And the way that they tied in all the different elements of this show was absolutely amazing, where every central plot, what ended up happening, in the show, which I won't go into detail at this segment, just enough to say that this is fantastic, incredible level of acting, but it all just tied in a way that, is like a masterpiece, absolutely masterful. So I really don't know what Tonys this thing won. I know it was like nominated for Best Play, but I mean, this is a hard one because I honestly feel it was a little bit better than Purpose because it was just so incredible. The acting was like top notch. I mean, all the girls were like in their 20s, and the high school setting was really phenomenal. But the way that it brought forth a lot of insight, because I sort of like really as a person, I gotten sick of like a Me Too type of thing that's been going on for quite some time, especially in light of all these exposures and just sort of distrusting of personal testimonies and people who use abusive language. And anyhow, so for me, it's really one of these shows that's artfully masterful because, again, without preaching me, I learned something, and it really has, it's made me think. I'll continue on a little bit later with the spoilers, but this is just to say that this one's not to be missed at all. You do not want to miss this. This is actually the last show before I leave town. I usually am in New York during the summer, but right now I'm in a startup phase in Miami. So I'm going to go visit my family in Illinois before I have to get back to Miami. But this is a beautiful one to close out the show because I've had a couple of days of off-Broadway not so fun, which not to say that off-Broadway isn't necessarily good theater, but I've had a couple of misses. So this is ending June 2025 on an extremely high note with an impeccable play, which I'm going to be setting on my little Google reminders of the playwright and all those who are involved in this show. Excellent. And there was like a weird dance scene. It wasn't weird at all. It's just that it was meant to be like funky dance that the students were performing as a matter of expressive art as the final scene of the show. And it was so emotionally captivating. It's like, great choreography. No, it was just so raw and so like schoolgirls putting together something that expressed their inner emotions. It was like them telling off their teacher in the final moments of the show through expressive dance. That usually I wouldn't like be raving about something like that, because choreography sort of is what choreography is, and it sort of is a put down to even call this like such just choreography. It was really an extension of the dialogue of the show. So the way that they closed this thing out was just masterful. I don't like getting into all the nitty gritty because my purpose is does this deserve a Broadway stage, and to compel you to go see it or not to see it, like to warn you and scare you away, or to welcome you and say that I want you to have FOMO of this one. And you definitely should have FOMO of this one. And I think it's good for you to go through the process of really not knowing anything like I did. And I think the playwright actually had that in mind as well, of how well done was the first act, if you call it that, because there was no intermission here to know. But for you to be taking the moments where you're starting to get bored, you know, and then turn those moments on its face into a climax. This thing was extremely well done. This is one of those ones where it's going to stay with me. And there's been quite a few number of shows in New York the last month or so that's going to stay with me. And it's always cool when like theater becomes like an educator, you know, where it's like teaching you something about yourself. It's like very introspective. It almost to me is a little bit like therapy at times. And this is a show that's like that. I went to the movies last night and saw the Phoenician Scheme. I can't sit through movies. I don't care about movies, you know. This is a good one, guys.